Hello, poetry lovers. The video tonight shows the creation of a new piece entitled Making Babies. Stick around to the end of the video to see the complete first draft of this new piece. This poem is one in a chapbook project I've been working on for quite some time that explores my journey with infertility and fertility treatments. As I said, I've been working on this manuscript for quite a while, and I generally go several months between drafts of new pieces for this collection, partly because I'm carefully considering which topics and ideas merit inclusion, and partly because it's honestly quite a difficult topic to write about. If you've been there, you know. So it can feel a little uncomfortable to share this in a medium that's so public. But I do feel strongly that it's important to begin to make space to hear stories of infertility and pregnancy loss, since those can be so important to the people who experience them. But our culture is still not the most welcoming space for that kind of testimony. So I hope the manuscript I'm working on will help open a door for other women to talk about their journey. The best tool I found for making this topic easier to write about is using concrete details. And that's, I think, good general advice for anyone who wants to write about a topic that is very personal or kind of very emotionally charged. Center your work on the concrete physical details. This strategy means that you can feel less like you're just writing a kind of diary entry, which might be very therapeutic for you, but may not be terribly interesting for someone else. And it can also help readers who have not had your same experience to connect with your work. So that's where I started here. I'm using free verse broken into 3 stanzas here. This is because I want the very loose and unstructured cadence of free verse, but I also want a physical separation between the poem's 3 big ideas. In this first stanza, I shared some concrete details that create a connection between the implantation of a fertilized embryo, which is a very unusual experience, and simple sexual intimacy, which is obviously a much more common one. So this poem started from a point of explicitly telling the reader there's something you can connect with here. But as I moved into the second stanza, I shifted my focus to the physical details that are very unique about the experience of doing in vitro fertilization. In the first section, I focus mostly on touch details, but in this stanza, the majority of sensory detail focuses on sight. This just felt right in the moment, but on later reflection, I think that feeling of rightness comes from the fact that fertility treatments take a very intimate experience and to some extent transform it into a type of presentation or visual show. The exception to this focus on sight details came in the 4th line of this stanza, and I wanted to really set off the touch detail I was including to make the line in some way visually represent the physical sensation of the IVF process. So I used long dashes on each side of the touch detail, both to make it stand out with the same kind of jolting feeling this procedure creates, and to visually mimic the shape of the wire being used in the procedure. I went quickly through the first couple stanzas, helped along by my reliance on concrete detail to figure out what to write next. But the last stanza honestly posed a significant challenge for me. I wanted to make a point about the mixed emotions of completing an embryo transfer after IVF, while avoiding any overly emotional wording or relying simply on feeling words. And this was especially important since part of the point of writing this is that there aren't really simple words to use for explaining the emotions you might feel at a moment like this. I wanted to keep the poem grounded in concrete reality, but I needed to make a point about emotions and mindset and even philosophy. So you can see that I really struggled with the wording, and I struck a lot of my first attempts. This is the part of the poem that still needs the most work. I'm honestly really dissatisfied with what I ended up committing to the page, but I felt like it was important for me to come to some kind of ending so I wouldn't lose momentum. But I've been considering how I can fix this mess of an ending pretty much since the minute I completed this draft. In fact, I've already started a revision that makes significant changes to the poem's end, and I'll be sharing that video in a few weeks. But for better or worse, here it is, the first draft of Making Babies, written in 18 and a half minutes on June 11th, 2021. Making babies. There are, in fact, some similarities. The lights are dimmed, dark even. You're scantily dressed. Your husband's palm is pressed on yours. Sweat like nectar fuses your laced fingers. Your legs are spread so wide you think you'll split open. You pray this time will take. The connection ends as the doctor focuses a spotlight on the speculum, ratcheting you open and threads a tube. It feels like steel wire through your cervix. Everyone watches the ultrasound screen in a pregnant silence as the wire slides a tiny sequin of light to the front wall of your uterus, brushes your innermost place with the fertilized egg, and withdraws, leaving a sparkle on your womb's face. 30 seconds flat. The difference is, of course, this way you know. You know in this moment for sure, at least in this dim room with the whole world on a sonogram screen, wondering at how you need not doubt. Yes, you can see your body holds the spark of life. Thanks for watching this episode of Ars Poeticat. If you enjoyed watching poetry happen, please like and subscribe. Then go make some art.